There's a part of the airport right behind me in Terminal 4 that is still closed off. That part, we are seeing law enforcement continue to walk through and assess. We have seen other areas of the airport as well being shut off and closed off, like different elevator shafts and other parts. But it does seem so far like operations are back to normal, except this is a very active scene. We've seen multiple different law enforcement crews. We've seen Phoenix Fire. We have seen Arizona. We've seen Phoenix PD. Crisis response teams as well. I have seen people out with their long guns, law enforcement out holding long guns as well. When we walked into the airport, walked in through the lobby, there was this general.
Only on 2 this evening, a Pearland man is without a home, homeless this evening after a fire torched everything that he owns. The fire started around 11 on Friday morning on Louise Lane, just off of County Road 101. In a matter of minutes, an RV that the man lived in and the home next door were completely destroyed, all just days before Christmas. The man who lives here is speaking only now with our Gage Golding, sharing that this is just the latest in a long string of kicks that just keep coming for this poor man.
I was out in the shop working.
Meet Troy Davis. Today we found him where he spends most of his days, tinkering away in his shop.
Take this chain off. I was out there in the shop working on a go-kart.
While working away, his friend noticed something coming from the RV Troy lives in, right next to his mother's old house.
He had asked me if I was cooking something. And I told him, no, I'm not. Why? And he goes, well, there's smoke pouring out your door.
His buddy going to check it out, but it was already too late. Smoke billowing into the sky. Everything Troy owns burning right in front of his eyes.
But the fire, it didn't stop there. Troy's RV got power from his mom's old house right next door. That fire spreading and destroying what was left of her home.
We were watching the fire fly out of the breaker box.
But you see, this isn't the whole story here.
When Troy saw the smoke, he went to go check it out, but unlike you and I, he couldn't run down the driveway.
My orthopedic surgeon came in and removed the leg.
Troy is an amputee, a motorcycle accident in 2009, leaving him dealing with a decade-long battle with his right leg.
I ended up with infections in the leg and it never healed properly.
Last March, doctors had no other choice but to remove his leg.
I became septic and was hours from dying. I can honestly tell you it was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Last July, he got a prosthetic leg, finally taking a step in the right direction, walking again for the first time in 15 years. But that dream of escaping his wheelchair was cut short yet again, his leg burning in this fire.
That didn't even sink in.
Despite the world seemingly being against Troy for the better part of the past 2 decades, he isn't angry or sad or even a Scrooge.
I got hope. I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life. Each one of those things has, strengthened me for whatever's to come next.
You look at this as a speed bump where some others might look at this as a mountain in the middle of the road.
Hope to me is a determination. It's I know that there's always a better side to every situation.
I think this holiday season, we can all take a lesson from Troy's playbook on life. No matter what curveball we're thrown, if there's a will, there's always a way. In Pearland, Gage Golding, KPRC2.
Baltimore County Police are investigating after 4 people were shot early this morning in Rosedale during a domestic incident. And tonight we've learned a juvenile has died.
Fox 45's Jessica Babb is breaking down what we know so far. Jessica.
Well, Baltimore County Police are still investigating some of the details leading up to the domestic incident. They say it was a domestic assault that turned into a deadly shooting early this morning. On Breslin Court this Christmas Eve, with a light dusting of snow covering the ground, a picturesque morning.
Caller neighbor just gave a caller saying that she got shot.
Took a turn.
Caller writes that the suspect also shot himself.
Around 6:30 this morning, Baltimore County Police, covering the street to this complex, responded to a domestic-related assault that turned into a deadly shooting. Baltimore County Police Chief Robert McCullough saying,
our investigation revealed that 4 subjects at this location were shot. Those victims were transported to the hospital. Right now, our violent crimes unit is investigating this case.
Police say they found an adult woman along with 2 juveniles who were shot in the upper body. They say medics took the 3 victims to the hospital, where 1 juvenile was pronounced dead. Police say an adult man, who is believed to be the suspect, shot himself and was also taken to the hospital. As for the victim still recovering,
hopefully everyone that was shot, recovers.
Rosedale resident William Lawson saw the police Tuesday morning.
It's crazy.
And says it puts the holiday season in perspective.
Just keep loving my family and, work things out. Hugging my grandkids and stuff like that. Talking to them more, whatever situation is, it can get worked out. So it shouldn't have to come to this though.
Chief McCullough emphasizing they can help.
We recognize that this time of year can be difficult for some people. So we do recommend, if anyone's experiencing any depression or any problems this time of year, feel free to call 988. Or if you see something brewing or feel like something's brewing in your home, please contact your local police department, and we'll be glad to respond out to assist.
It happened a few hours ago when a person was shot at the Wendy's on Jacksonville's north side this afternoon. This is video of the scene where police have taped off the whole parking lot. So this happened around 2. One person was transported to the hospital in serious condition. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office will speak any minute now to give us more information, and we'll bring you the briefing live. Here's a map of where it happened at the Wendy's fast food restaurant off of New Kings Road, just north of I-295. News 4 Jax reporter Chris Will joins us live in the area near the scene. Chris, JSO is getting ready to speak.
Yeah, they just stepped up to the podium right now. We know a lot of viewers were sending us questions, asking about what happened. We saw multiple people drive by asking us what happened. So I want to go right over to JSO right now for that briefing to give you some details about this incident at Wendy's.
All right, good evening. I'm Christopher Smith, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Robbery and Violent Crime Unit. Today, around approximately 2:15 p.m., officers responded to the 9000 block of New Kings Road in reference to a shooting. Upon arrival, officers located an adult male in his early 20s, located inside a vehicle with at least one gunshot wound. The victim was transported to a local area hospital with life-threatening injuries. Our initial investigation revealed the victim parked at a local area restaurant. He appeared to meet up with one of the suspects. After meeting up with the first suspect, an additional suspect came up, and that's when the shooting occurs. And then the 2 male suspects flee the area in a white Kia sedan. The white Kia
50 Cent's interest in Shreveport property, as we've been following for the last week or so. KSLA's Miracle Garrett is in the studio tonight. She has a reaction to 50 Cent's interest from a Louisiana state senator from Shreveport. Miracle?
Today, I reached out to Louisiana State Senator Sam Jenkins and got a response about his concerns over 50 Cent's interest in Shreveport properties.
At any point, when the racket can stop and we can talk business, I'm here. I don't plan to go anywhere.
An article posted on the Baton Rouge website The Advocate this week said Louisiana State Senator Sam Jenkins has some concerns about 50 Cent buying or leasing too much of the city's properties.
I met with Mayor Arsenault back in October, and I have a letter here that talks about a number of different projects that are actually on the books that are going to need some assistance from the city, and maybe in many respects need some of the assets that may be available.
Just yesterday, 50 Cent posted on Instagram, quote, Sam Jenkins must not want things to turn around in Shreveport. Who would not want to do a deal to wait for an imaginary deal to come? Or maybe he just lacks faith in me, end quote.
Look, I don't think when you're talking about your future that there's anything imaginary about it. As I stated, we have other projects that are on the books. These are not...
As Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang, spreads its tentacles across New York City and the country at large, feds have now busted another ring of these alleged gang members in the Bronx. They found them in an apartment and arrested 7 of them on December 5th. It was a joint raid with the NYPD and Homeland Security, and they were able to identify the group by tracing them to the apartment using an ankle monitor that had been administered federally to one of the individuals alleged to be a Tren de Aragua member. Now, we already know that Tren de Aragua, or TDA, has spread across New York City. It's recruited in the migrant shelters there, where it's also set up gun smuggling rings. It's created snatch and grab moped robbery gangs. It has a youth crew and is wreaking havoc across the city, even shooting an NYPD cop and assaulting others. Now, most of the 7 individuals who were caught in this apartment in the Bronx actually had significant rap sheets and warrants out for the arrests after they had committed, allegedly, multiple crimes in the United States after crossing the southern border illegally. One of them was actually caught crossing the northern border illegally into Canada and was deported from Canada into the United States. That alleged gang member, Jonaiker Cardozo, had 4 busts from law enforcement within the United States before the raid. Most were in the Big Apple, while one was in Greenville, South Carolina. One of the other members of the gang that was caught in this apartment actually had crossed 2 different.
New tonight, there is growing concern among the NYPD over Venezuelan gang activity across the city. Police believe some gang members are recruiting children living in migrant shelters. As Jennifer Bisram reports, the gang has blended in with asylum seekers who began arriving here in 2022.
Once they commit their crimes, they go back to the migrant community where they assimilate themselves with people that are actually here obeying the laws.
The NYPD is cracking down on Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang they say is...
As Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang, spreads its tentacles across New York City and the country at large, feds have now busted another ring.
New tonight, there is growing concern among the NYPD over Venezuelan gang activity across the city. Police believe some gang members are recruiting children living in migrant shelters. As Jennifer Bisram reports, the gang has blended in with asylum seekers who began arriving here in 2022.
Once they commit their crimes, they go back to the migrant community where they assimilate themselves with people that are actually here obeying the laws.
The NYPD is cracking down on Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang they say is living in the shelter system and recruiting children.
We have 39 members of TDA that have been identified, and we have an additional 4 members that have been identified of a subgroup called the Little Devils of 42nd Street.
42nd Street.
Yeah, those are much younger kids.
And those are just the members police have been able to identify.
We have no fingerprints on file for them. We have no photographs on file for them. We have no prior criminal history on them. They swap out their IDs. We have no way of tracking or knowing who they are when they enter the country.
The NYPD's chief of detectives says undocumented criminals as young as 11 years old are carrying out retail robberies and committing crimes on scooters, snatching people's jewelry, watches, and cell phones at gunpoint and knife point. Over 300 incidents last year, more than 800 so far this year. They brazenly shot at police officers too.
When we do make arrests and we're able to charge them on 4, 5, 6 incidents, when they go before a judge in New York City and their arrest record is run, they show no prior criminal history. They're released on their own recognizance. They're not offered bail, and they're released back into the public.
Some migrant mothers we spoke to say they fear their boys will be forced into the world of crime.
People have warned us to be careful with the child because they are recruiting younger children. It worries me a lot.
Arada Piera and her 11-year-old son Dylan live in a Manhattan migrant shelter. They arrived from Colombia last year. When she's not volunteering at Metro Baptist Church, she's with her son, warning him of the dangers of gangs.
We're afraid he will get recruited and they will force and manipulate him to do bad things, things that will get him into trouble.
Power Malou, co-founder of Resources, Opportunities, Connections, and Community, is trying to keep migrant kids off the street by creating youth programs, including a soccer club.
I absolutely know that the soccer program is important for the kids to be able to get involved with something where they feel like they belong and they're having fun as kids, being able to support each other, build community, and stay away from the streets and be able to not have to get into the violence and get into the gang activity.
Over 60 kids
hey, y'all hit that like button for me.
So far,
make sure y'all
Dylan.
share this out.
It's fun.
Subscribe to the channel.
Get to eat
hit the like button
pizza,
for me.
And I have so many friends and we play.
He says he wants no part of the gang life.
I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be bad. I want to be
More helping the people.
Malou says more resources and spaces are needed to help the nearly 22,000 migrant kids in city shelters. That's 38% of the migrant population currently in the system.
The newest New Yorkers are coming here and they don't have any programs for them. So then they're looking to do something. They're looking for something to do. So they're easy targets.
In the meantime, the NYPD is working with its federal partners to curb the growth of the gang violence sprouting at some migrant shelters, spilling onto city streets, and in some cases, detectives say, even among migrant families who are also becoming targets.
What we're also seeing is the majority of the migrant community sometimes themselves are the victims of crimes. They're preyed upon by these gangs. And there's a reluctance to report it sometimes because they feel that that might get them to port.
Holiday cards and packages are crisscrossing the country right now before Christmas, but a few appear to have been rerouted illegally when they got to a UPS warehouse in Mesa. 4 men accused of being more interested in making profits than making their deliveries. Fox 10's Brian Webb is live tonight with the details. It's crazy how they did this, Brian.
Well, yeah, started with a tip from Mesa Police, then led to an internal investigation. The packages were making it to the warehouse, but not to the final destination, and it may have been going on since last Christmas.
I'm going to ask one by one if you have any questions, starting with Mr. Large. Mr. Panasi.
What was the second charge you said it was?
So it's fraudulent schemes, which is a Class 2 felony.
What does that mean?
4 accused Grinches all in a row. They didn't have much to say in court today, but the judge said plenty.
You were all arrested on allegations of theft, control of property, which is a Class 3 felony. And then Mr. Arias and Mr. Panasi, you were also charged with uncount of fraudulent schemes, a Class 2 felony.
The men are all UPS employees: Bo Arias, Casey Bedell, Jeremy Large, and David Panasi. They're accused of identifying expensive-looking packages inside this Mesa UPS warehouse, filled with things like electronics and other household products, switching the labels to send it to themselves, then selling the items in an operation over the past 12 months. We stopped by one of their homes today in the East Valley.
Is there a Bo Arias here by any chance? Yes. Could I talk to him about his court appearance today? No? Nothing? Do you want to say anything? Okay. Thanks for your time.
UPS wouldn't comment today either because this is an ongoing investigation. But if your package goes missing from UPS, you may be entitled to a small refund, but your best protection is to buy enough insurance to cover the cost of the item. Live in Phoenix, Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
Hey, subscribe to the channel if you ain't subscribed to the channel, y'all. Hit that like button for me.
Traffic tickets can generate serious cash for cities across the country. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. In Georgia, civil rights
A 17-year-old was shot and killed in the middle of the afternoon in a Fort Worth neighborhood today. 2 others were shot and taken to a hospital. Police say the shooting happened during an attempted armed robbery. A suspect has not been arrested.
Hit the like button.
David Centennial
Share it out.
is at Fort Worth Police Headquarters with what we know so far. David?
Yeah, Steve, and while police have not said exactly what that robbery was all about and no arrests have been made at this time, they still say they are interviewing everyone involved.
I mean, it's just like a really sad event, like, especially on Christmas Eve.
3 people shot in Fort Worth's West Fork Ranch neighborhood on Christmas Eve. One of them, 17-year-old Jaqueline Houston, died. The shooting happened just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon in front of Amanda Fisher's family's home while they were eating dinner.
And then I heard like 3 bangs.
She rushed outside and saw someone at the nearby West Fork Ranch Park who caught her attention.
I gave it back $3. Said people pass up the homeless. People pass up the people. But you know what my grandmother said? And I'm about to get up off here. My grandmother said, you never know. She said, Jesus can take forms in anything. And you never know when Jesus is coming to you to test you. I want them to understand that if you don't believe in life, life is going to test you, bro.
Every day.
So, like, I don't get on here. Like, when I get on here, bro, I knew the road that I took. I knew once I took this road that it was going to be people that was going to attack me. It was going to be people that try to convince other people that my word wasn't nothing. Because guess what happened to, bro? It happened to Jesus, bro. You have a good day, man. If you always welcome to come to my shit, bro. But I gotta get ready to get this daily deposit in, bro.
Okay, buddy. I'll see you later, man.
Facts.
All right. I don't know who Roach Spray is, man. You gotta cam up, man. I can't just let you on here, man. Porn bomb my channel. Yeah, I don't know who Roach Spray is, man. I don't know who Roach Spray is. Yeah, they muted themselves and they try to get up on the panel. Nah, buddy. Nah. Roach Spray. Who the hell is Roach Spray? I don't know who Roach Spray. Come back under your picture profile. Yeah.
Fort Worth police say a group of thieves rammed a stolen vehicle into a smoke shop, stole merchandise, and took off. The stolen car then caught fire. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is in with the surveillance from the crime scene. Peyton.
Steve, the owner of the smoke shop, says early Christmas morning he got a notification from his store's alarm system, and then he felt helpless watching all of this unfold on the security cameras. Here, take a look. Early Christmas morning, a car crashed through the storefront of Fort Worth's modern smoke shop off South Hewlin. 3 people in hoods exit the vehicle and one decides to take off. Once inside, the thieves climbed over the mangled gate into the business and stole thousands of dollars worth of vapes, according to the shop's owner. Less than 10 minutes later, Fort Worth Fire arrived on scene because the crashed out vehicle caught on fire. Then the fire spread to the building. The shop's owner rushed to his business and took these photos of the burned vehicle. Fort Worth police say that vehicle was stolen.
The officers during the investigation were able to find out was they were able to track the vehicle to its registered owner, and that person advised that no one had permission to use the vehicle.
To the channel.
It appears that the vehicle
if you ain't subscribed to the channel,
by Christmas afternoon,
hit the like
business
button.
had the front
Share
door
this
boarded
out.
up. Remnants of the fire can
Breaking
be seen
down the
on
news
sidewalk.
will show you
As
love,
for the damage
but we
left
just
behind,
listening to
It's
it.
pretty
We ain't breaking
extensive
this
because
shit
the
down.
fire was not only to the vehicle, it also started to spread to the building. So FD made the location. Fortunately, they were able to put out the fire, and the investigation continued.
An urgent search for an escaped killer is over tonight in Leakesville. This picture captures the moment when Drew Johnson was caught today after breaking out of the South Mississippi Correctional Institution yesterday. Claudia Nichols has the latest details on Johnson's recapture and also the chilling plans he did not get the chance to carry out.
Tonight, 33-year-old Drew Johnson is back behind bars after he was captured Wednesday afternoon, less than 24 hours after breaking out of the South Mississippi Correctional Institution in Leakesville, Mississippi. According to authorities, Johnson was serving a life sentence after being convicted of murder in February of 2022. As dramatic as his escape was, his capture not far from the prison was just the opposite.
He was sitting Indian style beside the road. I think he was pretty much ready to go back to jail, from what I understand. He was, tired, cold, and cut up and ready to go back and get something to eat.
Chief Deputy Brad Warwick says the cuts Johnson sustained were from his escape. He also tells us Johnson wasn't the only one trying to break free Tuesday afternoon. Another inmate joined him but didn't make it as far.
If you get out one fence, you have to go through another fence. I think he was caught between the two fences. He did have to have medical attention from the razor wire. They didn't really have a plan. They just got an idea and acted on it, and it didn't work out very well for him.
Warwick says after Johnson broke out of the correctional institution, he immediately began searching for a vehicle and a weapon.
Around, I think, 4:30, we got a call over on Deer Run Road that he was trying to break into a vehicle. He actually stole a shotgun out of the vehicle. There was no keys inside the vehicle. One of my deputies told me he did make the comment. They asked him about the gun, and he told them if it had shells in it, he was going to kill people if he had to. So I'm glad it turned out like it did.
Warwick says the recapture of Johnson was only possible with the help of several agencies coming together to search for the inmate during the Christmas holiday.
We had assistance all the way from Clark County, Alabama. The sheriff over there sent 2 drones with FLIRs over. Petal PD sent a drone with FLIR over, so we flew drones most of the night.
But it wasn't until Wednesday afternoon the Mississippi Department of Corrections reported Johnson's recapture after finding him sitting along Highway 57. Claudia Nichols, Fox 10 News.
And Warwick says Johnson is back behind bars in the correctional facility tonight, but he does believe the inmate will be transferred to a new location soon.
We start in Oakland, where firefighters say a man died trying to rescue his family from a house fire. It happened on Oak Knoll Boulevard, just west of 580 near the Oakland Zoo. Reporter Kara St. Cyr has more on how that man's quick thinking and his bravery helped save his loved ones.
Christmas for this family in Oakland will never be the same. They say the man who died was very kind-hearted and brave, and they want people to remember him as someone who sacrificed his life for his family. LaShante says her partner did everything he could to save his loved ones from a fire engulfing their family home in Oakland.
Stephen was truly the best person you could ever be. He loved his family, his friends, everybody so much. He died trying to get them out the house.
According to loved ones, Stephen Weatherford noticed a fire on the wall near the television set that quickly grew into a blaze.
He started yelling to the family, "There's a fire, there's a fire." And so I guess it caught really fast. And so he was just trying to save everybody, make sure everybody was out the house.
He sprang into action, getting a 7-year-old father and 3 other family members out of the house before running back in. The fire department found him unconscious on the floor.
He was a good person. He was a good family man, so it's important that, he saved his family. He saved 4 people in that house.
LaShante says Weatherford was a loving man with a beautiful soul whose sense of humor could resonate with anyone. He was an author who wrote books and loved the Christmas tradition of getting together with family. This holiday was supposed to be a milestone for their relationship.
I just wish he was here right now.
Did you know
He was going to propose. Yeah.
You knew?
He was going to propose to her. They told me this morning.
LaShante says she met Weatherford in a storybook fashion not long ago.
We met on Bumble and I accidentally deleted him because I was so excited to meet him. I didn't want to talk to any other guy. And then he found me on Facebook. Oh. And he was like, "I'm sorry, I don't want to be a creep, but it's just the person I was just talking to, and the rest is history."
LaShante's mother, Sandra, says she hopes the family can retrieve the ring.
So we're going to find it. It's probably in the safe. And I want you to wear that ring.
Yeah.
Regardless, okay? Because that's what he wanted for you, my love.
The family insists Weatherford will be remembered as the kind and brave man that he was. LaShante, though she won't hear his proposal, knows his love for her is strong.
I had given up on love and trying to make him.
The fire department has not disclosed what caused this fire. Loved ones say they suspect it may have been bad wiring, but either way, they are devastated by this loss.
In a tragic story that began on Christmas Eve, we now know the name of a woman stabbed multiple times and killed in what Beaumont police are calling a family violence homicide. Police and family members tell KFDM the victim is 40-year-old Tiffany Guidry. This is a photo of Tiffany shared by a relative. They call her a wonderful woman, loved by her friends and family. Relatives also shared a picture of Tiffany and her son, Chris. She leaves behind not only her son, but a large number of relatives and friends who tell us they are grieving her loss on this Christmas Day. This was breaking news yesterday on Live at 5, and today we've learned police are calling a man who was also stabbed the suspect in the homicide. Officer Haley Morrow says he was taken to a hospital in critical condition. He's in police custody while doctors treat him, and he'll be taken to jail once he's released. It all happened around 2:45 yesterday afternoon at a home in the 4900 block of Mallet Street. That's in southeast Beaumont between Highland and Kenneth. Police and EMS rushed to the home, and within minutes, officers reported a woman dead on the scene from multiple stab wounds and a man suffering traumatic injuries from a stabbing. KFDM's Taylor Justice has reaction from neighbors trying to make sense of the Christmas time tragedy.
A crime scene unit rushing to meet police and EMS at a home in the 4900 block of Mallet Street in southeast Beaumont.
When officers arrived, they located a deceased female and an injured male inside of a residence.
Officers finding a shocking scene inside the home. Outside, candy cane Christmas decorations, crime scene tape in front of them. A season of joy and giving, turning tragic.
It's being investigated as a homicide, and our family violence unit is investigating. We are not looking for a suspect. We believe we have all of the parties that are involved.
Police finding a woman dead inside the home, suffering from multiple stab wounds. A man with traumatic injuries from a stabbing.
He was alive and rushed by ambulance to Christus St. Elizabeth Hospital.
This neighborhood is, yes, it's really quiet, except on the holidays. You know, there's a lot of gun shooting around here, you know, but other than that, there's no violence around here. It's really, really quiet.
A neighbor says nothing like this has happened in the 10 years he's lived in the neighborhood.
They're real friendly, you know, they'll wave at you and talk to you and everything, you know, because I've talked to them before. But other than that, there's nothing going on around here. It's really, really quiet neighborhood.
The silence broken by police investigating what led up to the Christmas Eve homicide.
And again, that was our Taylor Justice reporting, and Taylor is still working on this developing story for us today. She'll have any updates tonight online.
We're continuing to follow a developing story this morning where at least 3 children were shot in an alleged robbery.
This happened on North Houston Roslyn Road near 249 in Northwest Harris County. We want to go to TJ Parker, who is live at that scene. TJ, I mean, this is a kind of a shocking story. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely, especially since during the course of the investigation, deputies learned that those kids were just between the ages of 12 and 14 years old, and they say they tried to possibly rob a man here in this apartment complex that we are at. 3 of those kids were shot, one of them in critical condition. Deputies were here for several hours this morning trying to piece this all together. They have since left. When Harris County Sheriff deputies did show up, they found one of the kids with several gunshot wounds. He was taken to a nearby trauma center in critical condition. As paramedics were tending to him, 2 other kids were found with gunshot wounds. Both were taken to the hospital and are stable. Shortly after that, the suspected shooter, who deputies believe the teens were trying to rob, returned to the scene and turned himself in. Guys?
Yeah, so do you know anything more about that suspected shooter? I mean, he returned to the scene, but do we know anything about him?
Yeah, so the only thing that we know right now, and we're still working obviously to get more information on the circumstances that led up to this, but deputies tell us that they believe that those kids tried robbing that man. In turn, the man pulled out his gun and shot at them, hitting 3 of them. Again, one of them in critical condition, taken to the hospital and in surgery. We know that the man did return back to the scene here at this apartment complex and is cooperating with investigators in this case. We also understand that a 4th teen was also taken into custody and being questioned as well. So still a lot of questions in this case, guys. One that we're going to continue to ask this morning. As we do learn more, of course, we'll pass it along to you.
Yeah, I mean, just a very disturbing story on so many different levels. Thank you so much, TJ, for your work.
A celebratory gunfire on Christmas Eve sent a 12-year-old girl to the hospital. But getting to the hospital also had its challenges.
Yeah, Devin Clark shares the unusual chain of events that began just before midnight last night.
Subscribe to the channel.
This is the area where that little girl was walking with her mother when all of a sudden a bullet pierces in her leg. What made matters worse is that when the good Samaritan tried to rush them to the hospital, they got into a wreck. People reacting to the news of celebratory gunfire know the consequences can be deadly. Fortunately, that wasn't the case last night. This man agrees that people who choose to celebrate with gunfire should be more mindful of innocent bystanders walking the street. It seems that was not the case when a stray bullet struck a 12-year-old girl in the leg who was on the way to a party with her mother. Making matters worse, a neighbor who saw the mother tending to her daughter put them in his car but crashed near Hillcroft and West Park Tollway on the way to the hospital. So the good news is no one was injured in the wreck, and the first responders who showed up to the crash rushed that little girl to the hospital, where at last check she was in stable condition. Reporting on the southwest side, Devin Clark, KPRC 2 News.
Well, a 7-year-old is recovering in the hospital after police say he shot himself in southwest Houston. Investigators say a family was celebrating Christmas at their home on Sandpiper Drive and West Airport Boulevard around 8 last night. Officers say a family member was walking around with a gun when they dropped it. They say that's when the 7-year-old boy picked up the gun and fired it, shooting himself in the arm. The boy was rushed to the hospital and is expected to recover. We don't have any word yet on if any charges will be filed.
And Houston police this morning are looking for the person they say shot and killed a 15-year-old at a Christmas party in southwest Houston. Investigators say the Houston Fire Department had been called to an apartment complex over on Burdine Street and North Braeswood Boulevard. This was around 10 o'clock last night. Firefighters were responding to a different call when they found that 15-year-old person laying in the parking lot with a gunshot wound to his head. He was pronounced dead right there at the scene. During the investigation, Houston police discovered he was at a Christmas party where he went outside and just never returned back to the party. No motive for the shooting is being given, and a suspect has not been named at this point.
The Pacific Ocean, an investigation is underway after a body was found in the wheel well of a United Airlines plane on Christmas Eve. Right now, there's still not a lot of details available, but we've learned that the flight reportedly originated from Chicago before landing in Maui. Police there in Maui released a statement saying they're currently conducting an investigation and no further details are available.
We begin here at 5 with that developing story and a big unanswered question. How did someone manage to sneak onto the tarmac, apparently at O'Hare, and into a wheel well without anyone noticing? Our Noel Brennan joins us live from the newsroom with the story. Noel?
Well, Joe, in addition to how, we don't know when the person was able to get inside the plane. No one appeared to know a person was hiding in the wheel well until after that plane touched down in Hawaii.
5000 O'Hare 80 Unit 855 Unit 1811.
A routine Christmas Eve flight out of O'Hare escapes the clouds of Chicago for clear Hawaiian skies. The United flight arrives at Kahului Airport in Maui right on time. It's not until landing that a routine flight takes an abrupt turn. United Airlines says a body was found in the wheel well of one of the main landing gears, an area only accessible from the outside of the plane. FlightAware shows the Boeing 787-10 had flown from Sao Paulo, Brazil, directly to Chicago, then had a 4.5-hour layover here before leaving for Maui. Hiding in the wheel well is a common method for stowaways, but the FAA says most don't survive. If the landing gear doesn't crush them, they encounter the elements. Lack of oxygen and the freezing cold. That's not to say stowaways haven't been successful. Marilyn Hartman even made it a habit. Dubbed the serial stowaway, she got past security to board more than 24 domestic and international flights at O'Hare and Midway. And just last month, a woman snuck onto a Delta flight from New York to Paris. But hiding under the belly of a plane raises entirely different questions about security. United says it's not clear how or when the person accessed the wheel well of this plane. A routine flight is now under investigation.
And no details about the person who died have been released.
Thank you very kindly, my friends. As I listen to Ralph Abernathy and his eloquent and generous introduction, and then thought about myself, I wondered who he was talking about. It's always good to have your closest friend and associate to say something good about you. And Ralph Abernathy is the best friend that I have in the world. I'm delighted to see each of you here tonight in spite of a storm warning.
And they say, don't put it on pride.
You reveal that you are determined.
New viral video showing an accused shoplifter shocked to learn that she may face a felony charge for theft. The Southern California Police Department is now reminding folks about the new Prop 36 law that cracks down on low-level theft. Matt Finn, live in Los Angeles to explain all of this. Memo to shoplifters, you can now be prosecuted.
That's right, John. And you know, here in California, we've reported on countless cases of brazen theft, shoplifting with no significant consequences. But last month, California voters overwhelmingly approved the new law, Prop 36, which rolls back criminal justice reform policies that critics say led to overwhelming crime. Police and prosecutors now have more leeway to charge crimes as felonies. Like this video from Seal Beach in Orange County. 3 women walk into an Ulta beauty store and then a Kohl's, casually stealing whatever they want, not even trying to conceal some of their stolen goods. Even after leaving the stores, the women, they're in no rush, but are surprised when Seal Beach police run up on them, and after a short chase, they arrest the thieves. Take a listen here as a police camera captures 2 of these young women talking about their shock that they were arrested for a felony.
It's a felony. New laws. Stealing is a felony. And this is Orange County. They don't play.
The 3 women were booked into an Orange County jail on charges of grand theft, conspiracy to commit a crime, and resisting arrest. Now, yesterday in Bakersfield, California, Dustin Towery pleaded not guilty to stealing 2 scooters from a Target store. Before Prop 36, Towery could only be charged with a misdemeanor, but now the DA can and did charge this man with a felony, in part because he had 6 prior convictions for stealing and a history of skipping out on court appearances.
Had it been before the passage of Prop 36, he would have been given, if caught, which he resisted arrest.
Subscribe to the channel, y'all.
He would have been given a citation.
Tap that like button.
And promised to appear. Now, because
Turn
of
us
the
up
voters,
on them
this
likes.
man is in custody and can't steal again.
I know them likes looking weak. Turn us up on the likes.
And because of that man's criminal past, the judge ordered him held in jail without bail. Again, something that would not have been possible just a few weeks ago here in California. John.
It's a whole new world out there. Matt Finn for us from Los Angeles. Matt, thank you.
Click here. Well, 37 federal inmates who were sentenced to die for their crimes now instead spend the rest of their life in prison. President Biden moved today to commute their sentences, an act he said was guided by his conscience. One of those inmates, Philadelphia drug kingpin Kabani Savage, convicted of the killing of 12 people, including 4 children. Those youngest victims died when Savage ordered the firebombing of the house where they lived in an act of retribution against a witness. Action News reporter Annie McCormick has details tonight and reaction.
Philadelphia's only federal death row inmate, Kabani Savage, is no longer on death row. The former North Philadelphia drug kingpin joined 37 federal death row inmates commuted by President Joe Biden today.
I'm very disappointed at Joe Biden.
The news left Tina Fox and her family in shock.
This crime is beyond violent.
Inside this North 6th Street home in 2004, many of Fox's relatives were murdered at Savage's direction. Fox's cousin, Eugene Coleman, became a federal informant against Savage. The fire killed 2 adults, including Coleman's mother, and 4 children, including an infant.
They were children. They would have been adults now, but they don't have a say. You can't hear their voice, and they were killed innocently.
Savage was convicted of those murders that he ordered from prison. He was also found guilty in 6 other murders, including a man scheduled to testify against him and rival drug dealers.
The national trend has been going away from the death penalty.
Defense attorney Fortunato Perry Jr. does not represent Kabani Savage, but said that Biden's announcement is not a surprise after seeing a major push by critics of the death penalty to abolish it nationwide. As for what this means for Savage moving forward,
that simply means that the individual will remain incarcerated with a life sentence as opposed to an effort to have him executed down the road. That's something that now can never happen.
In a statement, President Joe Biden said that America must move away from using the federal death penalty except in cases of terrorism or hate-motivated mass murder. In Center City, Annie McCormick, Channel 6.
A huge surge of uncertified teachers are in HISD classrooms. Roughly 20%, or 1 in 5, HISD teachers are not certified. That is up from just 7% last year.
Now, these numbers were first reported by 13 Investigates, and now the team has even more data showing us where they are and what they're teaching. Kevin Ozebek joins us live to break it all down. Kevin?
So, Eric and Gina, now nearly 2,000 uncertified teachers are employed by HISD. And for the very first time, we can now actually see what teaching positions they are really concentrated in. So have a look at the numbers here. Nearly 400 of them, so 380 of them, are general elementary school teachers. There's 290 uncertified math teachers now in the district. And we can see here in the data that there are hundreds more teaching electives, English, science, and even kindergarten. Now, half of HISD's roughly 2,000 uncertified teachers are in elementary schools. But the top campuses with the most uncertified students are actually high schools. Take a look here. Now, that does kind of make sense since they have more students, hence they're going to have more teachers. Houston Math, Science, and Technology Center High School has the very most with 39, followed by Milby, Sharpstown, and you can see Wisdom right there. Each of them have 32 uncertified teachers. Now, to see a breakdown of the number of uncertified teachers at every single HISD campus, head to abc13.com. Now, today, HISD told us 11% of these uncertified teachers come to the district with zero classroom experience, but that also means 89% of them don't have any classroom experience whatsoever at all. Well, today we spoke to Rachel Rucker, who is HISD's Executive Director of Impact and Analytics.
I went from Texas Roadhouse into the classroom, so that was and I was a good teacher. Like I do think that that is the state of education right now. We are seeing people with experience flee the classroom because they're pursuing a living wage. Like, that is a thing. And so I do believe that we should welcome people who want to become teachers.
But at the same time, data also does show that certification really does matter. Uncertified teachers leave the job at a higher rate. And research from Texas Tech reveals that students with uncertified teachers with zero classroom experience lose the equivalent of 4 months worth of learning in reading and 3 months worth of learning in math. And again, much more on this on abc13.com. Live in the studio, Kevin Ozebek, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
The new law is set to take effect here in Texas in less than a week. First, the Texas Data Privacy and Security Act. The bill technically already took effect back in July, but next Wednesday, a key provision goes into effect which requires businesses to honor unified opt-out mechanisms for online data processing. That means you'll be able to use browser settings or website extensions to automatically opt out of things like targeted advertising without having to opt out business by business. Next, Texas Senate Bill 2 will make adjustments to the property tax system. The bill will streamline appraisal limitations and tax administration. It also ensures more predictable property tax rates. And a big win for Texas drivers. Next Wednesday, drivers will not need to get a car inspection in order to get a car registered. But if you live in Harris, Brazoria, Fort Bend, Galveston, or Montgomery counties, you'll still need to get an emissions test. Also, under the law, drivers will pay $750 as an inspection program replacement fee when you get your registration.
You are as good. Subscribe to the channel, y'all. Subscribe to the channel.
As the war approaches its third devastating year,
share this out.
The fight intensifies. With President Putin claiming his troops are gaining ground every day. The Ukrainians say those gains come at a high price for Russia.
I see how much troops Russians lose and how small piece of land they took.
Ukrainian soldier Alexei asked we withhold his last name for security reasons. He's been on the front lines in his country's battered east. It sounds like a living hell.
We as soldiers, we understand that it's war, but for civilians, it's very hard.
Ukraine is also losing ground in the Russian region of Kursk, captured by Ukrainian forces during a surprise offensive over the summer. According to a senior U.S. military official, the Kremlin has moved 12,000 North Korean troops into the region, helping the Russians reclaim 40% of their lost territory.
Clearly, Russia has massively accelerated its war effort against Ukraine, but we can see that they are going through record losses.
Andriy Zagorodnyuk is Ukraine's former defense minister. He believes the latest Russian onslaught is timed to the late January inauguration of President-elect Trump.
It's got to stop.
Who has said he can end the war in one day. Is that possible?
Ukrainian people don't want war. If there is an end to war, it needs to be genuine. It needs not to be an operational pause during which Russia can get more troops. Then the next offensive would be much more difficult than this one.
A possibility that weighs heavily on aid worker Katerina Terekova, who is dedicating her life to helping the estimated 10 million displaced Ukrainians.
What that war stolen from a lot of Ukrainians. This is the feeling, the roots with the connection with your hometowns, with the small villages where a lot of people was burned.
How long can the Ukrainian people endure this?
You know, if you asking a lot of Ukrainians, all of us will be answering you. We will stand by the victory. This is our homeland. We need to be strong.
What happens next is seen as a test, not just of Ukrainian strength, but also of how the new Trump administration will respond. Aaron McLaughlin, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC.
It was a frightening Christmas afternoon in Herald Square, where an out-of-control taxi struck 6 pedestrians. Alicia Reed spoke with witnesses, some of whom helped to save the victims.
Witnesses spring into action to help victims stuck under a taxi that jumped the curb in Herald Square.
When we got up and ripped the fender off, I thought, and I think a couple people thought it was just a little boy that was there.
Onlookers quickly realized a woman believed to be the boy's mother was also under the carriage. Witnesses say they're visiting from Australia. That's horrible.
She was coherent. She was talking to her son, smiling, trying to kind of help keep him calm.
Police say this taxi was traveling northbound on 6th Avenue when the 58-year-old driver suffered a medical episode and veered onto the sidewalk in an area designed for heavy foot traffic.
My prayers are to the victims, and hopefully the cab driver will make it as well.
Police say the driver is
intentionally. And that, is that Charleston White, or is that the character?
That's Charleston White. That's Charleston White therapy. So I don't hate you niggas. Because it's no different than the police officer who becomes a police officer, has no hate, has no racism, but at some point, because he works in this community and he sees these type of crimes, he developed this kind of sentiment toward this group of people. It's no different than the jail or the correction.
Is it because you're watching these niggas profit off of storytelling and emulating a lifestyle that they don't live in real life?
I'm watching the poor nigga babies emulate what these niggas is saying while they rich and not kill nobody, while the kids live it out. I was one of them. Not only that, the mothers bury the babies acting this out. So when we bury these babies, I buried a kid by the name of Nakiah Stevenson, 15 years old. He snuck his stepdaddy's gun to an 8th grade party. The 8th graders beefing with the 19-year-olds. So this 15-year-old trying to play tough, shoot the gun up in the air and get killed in front of his 12-year-old son, his brother, his 12-year-old brother. So they part of my hype program. So when it's time to bury this little nigga, homie, where you blood niggas at? Nigga, when we having a barbecue to try to fund, nigga, where you blood niggas at? But y'all got y'all finger, y'all want a plate though. So when the old woman house, the 93-year-old woman house got shot up on Hattie Street, when the gang banging Hoover niggas was looking for a nigga named Big Pun, they know Big Pun mama stay there. A nigga catch Big Pun in the street, but they shot up the 93-year-old woman house next door. Nigga, we reached out the gang, so that's where man, I hate you bitch ass nigga, cause when the white man do something, y'all don't buck him. When y'all go to jail, you niggas don't kill each other in jail. Y'all start being friends so y'all can stick together to go against the Mexicans. So why out here? But y'all playing gangster. So because I'm changing and I'm really resenting the culture because I feel like, man, they tricked me with this bullshit ass culture. And they gonna trick another generation playing the gangster shit. When somebody gonna come out and say, man, this shit bullshit. This gangster shit bullshit, homie. We gonna keep selling this shit. So I became the change that I wanted to see. It should be somebody in the community telling the gangbanger niggas, fuck y'all, nigga, and we'll shoot it out behind. Y'all ain't gonna sell dope during these hours. Say, listen, woman, y'all gonna sell pussy when the kids get on the bus. When it's 3 o'clock, it's supposed to be somebody regulating like that in the neighborhood. It's supposed to be a nigga saying, man, nigga, we gonna burn down these drug houses. Y'all keep selling dope down that woman house, and ain't nobody cutting that old woman grass. This old woman lived next door to a dope house and her car broke down. Nigga, y'all get her car fixed. It's supposed to, so I wanted to become that kind of superhero, as risky and as dangerous as it was, but where I got the courage to do it, I was broke and angry. And I was becoming resentful because I didn't know how to generate the money to keep doing the work, but I had the desire to keep doing the work. So I remember God telling me 5 years into it, he said, Charleston, if you don't put no business with your passion, you're gonna get burnt out. So I was getting burnt out. But because of the conditions of the community, the conditions of the people, now I'm changing. Now niggas look at me, oh, nigga, you done forgot where you came from. Now I got a distaste for it. Now I got a disdain for it. Because I was really playing, I didn't come from that shit. I just wanted to fit in. And I wanted to fit into something that was negative. Now I want to be positive. Now I want to be a light in the community. So I attacked that bullshit. And it just so happened to turn me into a viral sensation. And what people found out is I just wasn't saying shit. I can give you a reason on why I'm saying this. But I agree with it.
No, I think for a lot of people this will make sense, at least to me. But when you say that, and now when you look back on the King Vons, now that you've said it, you've explained why people got it.
Well, now you don't really hear me say fuck King Vons.
No, I know, but like now do you go, does it change what you felt? It doesn't change what you felt at the time, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Now when I look back, there's more compassion. Okay. Because I done met the FBG Ducks Mom. I done met the King Von DJU. So
you were able to humanize them individually.
There you go. See now he's more humanized to me. Because there's a saying that we should try to seek to understand rather than being understood. I had no understanding then. Now I got just a little bit more understanding. So I understand.
Have you met up with T.I.'s son yet, King? Are you guys friends?
No, I like the money. Yeah, I don't like King.
I like King. Yeah. King was my favorite.
Unruly motherfucker. Yeah, he a little unruly motherfucker. He'll kick T.I. ass, I think.
He almost did.
I think so.
We saw that.
Yeah.
Wait, so when he was gonna beat up his daddy, were you clapping somewhere?
No. I ain't never rooting for no kid to go against their parent.
Right.
Never. I just think, as parents, that we forget things that our children don't. So that's why you can hear him saying, I know you, I know. So that's why they trying to hurry up and shut him up. Because
what he was about to say was, you don't want me to tell the real you because of what I went through, and kids will tell the truth.
Well, he said, I went over my grandmama, y'all over. So when you hear that, I had a little bit more compassion for him.
Yeah.
Man, I watched my
mother. My show is making Charleston White soft. I don't
care. Not too well. I can't hide behind the camera.
We had a meeting about you because I said, we know Charleston White, the viral sensation, but I know who I see through, because you let a crack in your veil pop up here and there when you speak, and you're smart. Clearly you're educated both in the streets and in school. Like you.
He's sending the cash out and he recording the conversation. so he could share it with Loco later?
Yes.
Imagine the conversations him and Loco having off camera. Yo, bro.
Man.
Yo, man, you shouldn't be fucking with them niggas. See, fuck with me, man. I'm a good stud. Yeah, don't be over there, man. Them niggas don't, you should have never sent them there. Now, check this out. I need $20.
Who is that?
Man, you keep letting these weirdos up here, man. You let a nigga up here eating on you, man, you gotta cut it out, Pico. For a nigga
Man, Pico. Shoulder. Hey, do me a favor. You hear me? Do me a favor. When niggas be doing weird shit like that, they want to show their face. Do me a favor, bro. Yeah, show them.
Nah, listen, Pico, let me get out. Well, I'm gone, man. I don't
Hold
know if this nigga
on.
burn me up. Nigga. I need my eyeballs. Fuck with Frederick talking about. Frederick want to see a nigga genitals. I don't want to see it. You don't.
That man play too much. And that man play too much.
Start talking to him, and y'all did have this what we gonna call it? A relationship. A bro.
I'm gonna say friendship, bro. I thought the nigga was my friend. I'm not gonna lie.
Y'all did have this friendship. Was he helpful in any way?
What you say?
Was he helpful?
What you mean helpful?
Like shit, did he get you out of any bind?
Man, hold on. The only bind. Hold on, let me mute this. I got some shit to say.
Oh shit, this nigga CEO a fool, man.
FDA, don't go cold on us.
Yeah, no, I'm not going cold. I have to ask my wife a question.
Oh, okay.
What you mean?
My nigga, what I'm saying is, you know how some niggas.
The only bar that he helped me get out of, bro. The only bar he helped me get out of, bro, was the living situation.
Okay.
That's the only bar.
And now you think he mad because of him and Loco situation.
I have no idea, bro. Just like I said, I have no idea, bro. I'm a person, like, how could I called you off the camera, bro? I didn't know that you was on live, but I like to call people out, but I talk to you off the internet too. So I call and talk to the nigga off the internet, bro. So 2 weeks after I talked to the nigga off the internet, I don't know what the nigga problem was. After bro started talking about my job situation that DK knew about, that's when DK went start going full throttle. DK say it was one show. He said it was one show that Pico. I didn't even know about the show, fam. But he say it was one show that you Pico asked you, was you mad because DK called the feds on you? I said I didn't say that you called the feds on him. I said you was gonna call chambers and commerce on that nigga. Who was that nigga, bro?
What's up with it?
Yo, shout out FDA, shout out Loco, shout out CEO Hockey. This is my thing about all this, man.
Hold on. You can't shout out everybody except the nigga who channel it is. You shout everybody out except me. Hold on, nigga.
Pico just dropped this nigga. But you gonna do it over there?
Hold on. All right, bet.
You ain't let me finish, Pico. Shout out to you too. But this
all right. Appreciate it. We good.
This is my whole thing. I give F Deezy credit because, like I said, he rolled up. He seen goddamn Loco at Kroger. I give Loco credit because they both came to see each other. But this is my thing with you, Pico. It's like you be getting on here.
Nigga, don't get on my shit. That's not what we gonna do. If you want to get on here and speak on what's going on, get on here and speak on what's going on. You goddamn got on here with the WC on your name and think you about to tell me about me on my channel. No, sir. You better get in the comments and voice your opinion, nigga. Yeah, we running this shit like what that shit that Hitler had going on. Yeah, nigga, you not about to tell me a motherfucking thing about me over here on the stage.
That nigga pick up like
now, if it's a nigga that been hitting the link, like, that's why I give Loco his pass. He been hitting the link for years. Like, you know, I let him get his shit off. everybody else, like, nah, we not. I done broke too many niggas onto the YouTube scene, and I'm done.
Niggas ain't sharing the camera with me no more.
Yeah, I done broke too many niggas on the YouTube scene.
This
And then I
sound,
was
bro.
like, nah.
I'm about to tell.
I like when that nigga get to talking like that. That shit be funny like a motherfucker. Like he just, nigga, you ain't put nobody on. But, you know, niggas just be feeling like they just somebody on this YouTube shit.
I'm tonight, baby. I'm about to terrorize them tonight. I ain't even talking about no nigga. I'm talking about tonight. I'm about to terrorize them tonight, bro. Oh yeah, hey, look, Pico. Yeah. One thing, bro, I like about, like, Rose is like my homeboy, you feel me? Rose is like my homeboy, so like we had a knockout drag out argument today, bro. Cause Rose was like, fuck that shit. Them niggas don't say what they gotta say, bro. You just found out that you can't talk to no motherfucker about it. Nobody gives a fuck about what he said and what my wife said. Nobody give a fuck about. You can take it. No. My wife said, if she don't give a fuck about nobody, and one thing she do know, that what we go through, we have each other back. So she said, I don't give a fuck. That nigga tried to distract us for what we doing. Nobody give a fuck about no police station. Nobody give a fuck about nothing. We know what's gonna happen if we see the nigga.
Oh. I don't know, man. I don't think I ever been in no motherfucking church like this one. Hold on.
Hey, look, peek this out. Peek, I love the title, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna let you know. I wasn't trying to fake no death or none of that bitch ass shit, bro. I'm just saying to the alter ego. So like, I don't want niggas to think I'm doing shit for no attention. But otherwise, what I'm gonna say is, bro, all the back and forth shit that's going on, where people think they can keep on playing. Everybody can go with their move, bro. Everybody can go with their move. I'm going with my move, bro. I don't want people to keep on saying that I'm confident on myself. I don't want people to sit there and say, bro, at the end of the day, motherfuckers want to say that I'm a snitch. I gotta do what's best for me. At the end of the day, I feel like it's very sickening. Bro. If I was participating in some shit, bro, if I was talking about some shit, bro, I totally understand. But I'm not playing victim at all. I'm getting sick and tired every day, and people feel like they can talk about my children, talk about my living situation, talk about whatever they feel like they want to talk about, and it will be no consequence. See, one thing about it is I will not be intimidated. Nobody's not going to make it seem like I'm afraid or anything. I am sick and tired, bro. And I'm at my last straw with it, bro. You had somebody who came in my life, bro, and said that I was going to help you and I got your back. I love you like a bro. To the next thing you know, he's online saying I scammed him and I did that shit, bro. And not one time, bro, that I fucking took advantage of this nigga or had any intentions on taking advantage of this nigga, bro. I'm getting tired of that narrative being spun around so they can justify their behavior and think that they embarrassing people, but they harassing me, bro, and it's becoming sickening, bro. I'm tired of my personal business. I don't give a fuck. I'm tired, like, bro, if you smoke crack, I'm better than you. If you sell drugs, I'm better than you. I don't want you to ever feel like in your head, why is you taking handouts and I never took your handout, bro? And niggas online right now doing a show like last night, bro. I'm truly trying to wrap my head around this shit. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to really wrap my head around it and wondering why this one person keep on bothering me and I don't know him personally, bro. And then once his son passed away, I was the only one on our side because everybody said fuck him. He got what he deserved. I was the only one on my side saying something until you think that you can keep on making shorts, poking. So now I get mad, bro. And when I get mad, I get immature. But I never was the one who started shit about that. Even though you say fuck my children, you want my wife to have a stillborn baby, nigga, fuck you when I say bro. And not only that, Pico, I'm tired of this because I'm not the only one that he threatened to kill, bro.
Yeah, no,
Nobody's about to sit here and wait for you. Nobody's about to sit here, so you can say I'm lying, but what about the rest? You can say I'm lying, but what about the rest? What about the other people that you on video saying that you gonna knock down? What about when you said you killed neighborhood real mama? Since you can record people without people.
I said, what about when this nigga was on live with me laying on his stomach like Whack 100?
Oh, play it, bro. Please play it, bro.
Oh, yeah, let's bring it back. Let's take a trip down memory lane, chat. What's up with it? Y'all ready?
I'm typing one. Is that the message? No, for real. Is that the message? Are you serious? Is that the message, Pat? Is that what you got?
You said, is that the message?
Yeah, Patrick, is that the message? Is that the message that you got out of that? I mean, you up. It's midnight. What is it, a quarter?
Yeah, no. It ain't midnight yet, nigga.
Well, hell, it's midnight here. It's midnight here. It's Monday.
What you doing? You up at midnight watching me, nigga?
No. I just no. I'm up.
We gonna have to put it for those moves.
That nigga got on a motherfucking firefighter outfit.
I'm content.
And watch this, Pico, when he showed up to.
I'm done watching that.
Investigators say that an argument at a home turned deadly and the suspect fled the scene. This happened at a home on Pebble Spring Drive in Northwest Harris County. Rochelle Turner is live at that scene. Rochelle, have you been able to learn anything from investigators there?
Haley, good morning. We just spoke to detectives with the Harris County Sheriff's Office, and they tell us that it was this third home, and I'm going to step to the side to show you, we're going to zoom in on it to kind of show you where investigators have been investigating and processing the scene since overnight. Now, the officer couldn't release much details, but he told us that there was an argument. Someone that lived at the home was kicked out. He came back. He got into an argument with another man inside, and he pulled out a gun and allegedly shot the man and killed him, and he fled the scene. Now, I did ask, do they have an idea as to where this man may be this morning? They said they don't know. Right now, they're focusing on getting evidence from inside of the home and speaking to several witnesses that live there. So when we first arrived out here around about 5:30, Haley, they told us that there were several family members inside that included children and young adults. I did ask them, and they clarified that there was no children. They were juveniles, mainly teenagers and adults inside the home. At least 10 people were inside that home, and he said that it was a blended family. But according to investigators, the suspect, he is an adult male who had been asked to leave the home. He returned late last night. An argument broke out and between the suspect and possibly the homeowner. Now, this is something that we reported early this morning, but investigators say right now they're not sure if the man who was killed was renting the home. So they're still trying to piece together exactly what happened. Now, that's when deputies believe the suspect pulled out a gun and shot the man before leaving the scene. Now, when deputies arrived, they found the homeowner, or the man, dead from gunshot wounds. And the Harris County Sheriff's Office is here and taking over the scene, and as we're giving you this report, Haley, we are moving out of the way because more crime scene unit and investigators are asking us to move as they're arriving here on scene. But it's still a lot of questions this morning. We know that there were several family members inside of this home, some of them cousins, some of them that didn't live here. They were here last night. A man who lived here was asked to leave. He came back. he got into an argument with another man, and that's when the shooting happened. So this morning, we're seeing constables. There's one that is driving by right now. We have Harris County Sheriff's Office. We have several agencies here trying to piece together exactly what happened and try to get a better understanding as to where this man may be. But as soon as we get any information from investigators, we'll be sure to pass it along to you all. Looks like they're getting ready to walk over here to provide more information. So we're going to send it back to you in the studio and talk with them and see what they can share.
Yeah, Rochelle, you want to ask them real quick if they've got new information? We can stay on you if they do, or else we can check back in if they're just giving you a behind-the-scenes look.
In Espanol.
Hey, good morning.
Are they starting in Spanish?
You just doing this in Spanish? Yes. Okay. So
I briefed him. He's going to say pretty much the same thing.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so this detective is going to provide an interview with Univision, who's out here covering it for the Spanish-speaking community, and so they also were listening in when we spoke to the detective this morning. So that's what we just learned, and so if we hear anything new, we'll be sure to pass it along. We're going to try to get some sound from neighbors. We're now seeing several people kind of head on out to work and kind of standing out here trying to see what happened last night. Maybe they heard some of those gunshots, so we'll be sure to get their accounts and see what they have to say.
Yeah, I can tell it's really still an active situation. So I see that they're giving the same information to Univision that they gave to us earlier. So we will let them do their
Jacksonville rapper Foolio. The state will not seek gang enhancements for one of the 5 defendants in the case. Rich Donnelly was on your side tracking developments from the courtroom, joins us now with the details. So Rich, one of the defendants does this directly affect, right?
Yes, of the 5 defendants charged in the murder of Jacksonville rapper Foolio, the state said it is not seeking a gang enhancement against a woman named Alicia Andrews. A gang enhancement allows the state to increase the maximum penalty for someone with gang ties if that person is found guilty of a crime promoting gang activity. The state says Andrews is the girlfriend of another one of the defendants, but does not intend to prove she's a gang member herself. However, the state did lay out its case that she was very much involved in the murder.
The defendant, along with all her co-defendants, were tracking our victim all through the night.
During the final pretrial hearing before the trial of Alicia Andrews in the murder of Jacksonville rapper Foolio, whose given name is Charles Jones, the state said all of the defendants plotted the murder long before they arrived in Tampa the weekend Foolio was murdered.
We have evidence of the defendant's co-defendants very clearly meeting at Sean Gathwright's house on his video camera, where they are loading up big bags that are definitely big enough to hold these assault rifles that were used in this case.
The state said the motive of the defendants was retribution from music videos posted on social media as part of an escalating gang war in Jacksonville.
This is something in Jacksonville that is very well known. These videos, both by our victim as well as by the rival gangs, are posted immediately. It's in the public domain, and it details this long-standing feud.
The judge also said that evidence from a previous murder attempt on Jones's life in 2023 can be used in the trial against Andrews, even though she is not considered to be involved in that shooting.
I do find, generally speaking, that this is evidence that does help create motive and intent and explain the crimes charged.
3 of the defendants in this case, including Andrews, have pleaded not guilty to the first-degree murder charges brought against them. A 4th defendant is preparing an insanity defense, and the 5th suspect has not been found. The judge gave both the state and the defense team for Andrews a deadline of January 3rd to finalize their witness and evidence lists prior to her trial beginning in 2025. Reporting Rich Donnelly, First Coast News, on your side.
Distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, friends and enemies. I want to point out first that I'm very happy to be here this evening, and I'm thankful for the invitation to come here to Detroit this evening. I was in a house last night that was on my own, but it didn't destroy all my clothes. at all, but you know what happens when fire
salute,
smoking. The only thing I could do for hands before leaving was what I have on now. And it isn't something that made me lose confidence in what I'm doing, because my wife understands, and I have children from this size on down, and even in their young age, they understand. I think they would rather have a father or a brother or whatever the situation may be, who will take a stand in the face of any kind of reaction from narrow-minded people, rather than to compromise and later on have to grow up in shame and in disgrace. So I just ask you to excuse my appearance. I don't normally come out in front of people without a shirt and a tie. I guess that's somewhat a holdover from the Black Muslim movement, which I was in, and that's one of the good aspects of that movement. It teaches you to be very careful and conscious of how you look, which is a positive contribution on their part. But that positive contribution on their part is greatly offset by too many other liabilities. Tonight, we want to discuss, and by the way, also when I came here today, I was a bit, last night the temperature was about 20 above, and when this explosion took place, I was caught in what I had on, some pajamas, and in trying to get my family out of the house.
Cross happy holidays
None of the stops were any closed at that point. 20-degree cold. I myself I had gotten into the house of the neighbor next door. And so I thought perhaps being in that condition for so long, I would get pneumonia or a cold or something like that. So a doctor came today, nice doctor too, and he shot something in my arm that naturally put me to sleep. I've been back here asleep since the program started in order to get back in shape. So if I have a tendency to stutter or slow down, it's still the effects of that drug. I don't know what kind it was, but it was good. It makes you sleep. There's nothing like sleeping to a whole lot of excitement. Tonight, one of the things that has to be stressed is that which has not only the United States very much worried, but which also has France, Great Britain, and most of the powers who formerly were known as colonial powers worried also. And that primarily is the African Revolution. They're more concerned with the revolution that's taking place on the African continent than they are with the revolution in Asia and in Latin America. And this is because there are so many people of African ancestry that's within the domestic confines or jurisdiction of these various governments. There are 4 different types of people in the Western Hemisphere, all of whom have Africa as a common heritage, common origin. And that's those of our people in Latin America who are black, but who are in the Spanish-speaking areas. Many of them oftentimes migrate back to Spain. The only difference being Spain has such bad economic conditions until many of the people from Latin America don't think it's worthwhile to migrate back there. And then the British and the French had a great deal of control in the Caribbean, in the West Indies. And so now you have many people from the West Indies migrating to both England and France. The people from the British West Indies go to France, go to London, and those from the French West Indies go to Paris. And it has put France and England since World War II in the precarious position of having a sort of a Commonwealth structure that makes it easy for all of the people in the Commonwealth territories to come into their country with no restrictions. So there's an increasing number of dark-skinned people in England and also in France. And when I was in Africa in May, I noticed a tendency on the part of the Afro-Americans to what I call lollygag. Everybody else who was over there had something on the ball, something that they were doing, something constructive. For instance, in Ghana, just to take Ghana as an example, there would be many refugees in Ghana from South Africa. But those who were in Ghana were organized and were serving as pressure groups. Some were training for military, some were being trained in how to be soldiers, but others were involved as a pressure group or lobby group so that the people of Ghana never forget what's happening to the brother in South Africa. Also, you would have brothers there from Angola, Mozambique, but all of the Africans who were exiles from their particular country and would be in a place like Ghana or Tanganyika, now Tanzania, they would be trained that every move would still be designed to offset what was happening to their people back home where they had left. The only difference on the continent was the American Negro. Those who were over there weren't even thinking about these over here. This was the basic difference. The Africans, when they escaped from their respective countries that were still colonized, they didn't try and run away from the problem. But as soon as they got where they were going, they then began to organize into pressure groups to get governmental support at the international level against the injustices that they were experiencing back home. And as I said, the American Negro, the Afro-American who was in these various countries, some working for this government, some working for that government, some just in business. They were just socializing. They had turned their back on the cause over here. They were partying, you know. And when I went through one country in particular, I heard a lot of their complaints, and I didn't make any move on them. But when I got to another country, I found the Afro-Americans, they were making the same complaints. And so we sat down and talked, and we organized a branch in this particular country, a branch of the OAAU, Organization of Afro-American Unity. And that one was the only one in existence at that time. And then during the summer, when I went back to Africa, I was able to, in each country that I visited, get the Afro-American community together and organize them and make them aware of their responsibility to those of us who are still here in the lion's den. And they began to do this quite well. And when I got to Paris and London, there are many Afro-Americans in Paris and many in London. And in November, we organized a group in Paris, and just within a very short time, they had grown into a well-organized unit, and they, in conjunction with the African community, invited me to Paris Tuesday to address a large gathering of Parisians and Afro-Americans and Caribbean, people from the Caribbean and also from Africa, who were interested in our struggle in this country and the rate of progress that we have been making. But since the French government and the British government and this government here, the United States, knows that I have been almost fanatically stressing the importance of the Afro-American uniting with the Africans and working as a coalition, especially in areas which are of mutual benefit to all of us. And the governments in these different places were frightened because they know that the black revolution is taking place on the outside of their house. And I might point out right here that you have colonialism or imperialism, as the slave system of the West is called, is not something that's just confined to England or France or the United States. But the interests in this country are in cahoots with the interests in France and the interests in Britain. And by this one huge complex or combine, and it creates what's known as not the American power structure or the French power structure, but it's an international power structure. And this international power structure is used to suppress the masses of dark-skinned people all over the world and exploit them of their natural resources. So that the era in which you and I have been living during the past 10 years, most specifically, has witnessed the upsurge on the part of the black man in Africa against the power structure. He wants his freedom. And now, mind you, the power structure is international. And as such, its own domestic base is in London and Paris and Washington, D.C., and so forth. And the outside or external phase of the revolution, which is manifest in the attitude and action of the Africans today, is troublesome enough. The revolution on the outside of the house, or the outside of the structure, is troublesome enough. But now the powers that be are beginning to see that this struggle on the outside by the black man is infecting the black man who is on the inside of that structure. And I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. The newly awakened people all over the world pose a problem for what's known as Western interests, which is imperialism, colonialism, racism, and all these other negative isms or vulturistic isms. And just as the external forces pose a grave threat, they can now see that the internal forces pose an even greater threat. But the internal forces pose an even greater threat only when they have properly analyzed the situation and know what the stakes really are. Just by advocating a coalition of Africans, Afro-Americans, Arabs, Asians who live within the structure, it automatically has upset France, which is supposed to be one of the most liberal countries on earth, and it made them expose their hands. England the same way, and I don't have to tell you about this country that we're living in now. So when you count the number of dark-skinned people in the Western Hemisphere, you can see that there are probably over 100 million. When you consider Brazil as two-thirds what we would call colored or non-white, and Venezuela and the Honduras and the other Central American countries, Cuba and Jamaica and the United States and even Canada. When you total all these people up, you have probably over 100 million. And this 100 million on the inside of the power structure today is what is causing a great deal of concern for the power structure itself. Not a great deal of concern for all white people, but a great deal of concern for most white people. See, if I said all white people, then they would call me a racist for giving a blanket condemnation of things. And this is true. This is how they do it. They take one little word out of what you say, ignore all the rest, and then begin to magnify it all over the world to make you look like what you actually are. And I'm very used to that. So we saw that the first thing to do was to unite our people, not only unite us internally, but we have to be united with our brothers and sisters abroad. And it was for that purpose that I spent 5 months in the Middle East and Africa during the summer. And the trip was very enlightening, inspiring, and fruitful. I didn't go into any African country, or any country in the Middle East for that matter, and run into any closed door, closed mind, or closed heart. I found a warm reception and a amazingly deep interest and sympathy for the black man in this country in regards to our struggle for human rights. While I was traveling, I had a chance to speak in Cairo, or rather Alexandria, with President Nasser for about an hour and a half. He was a very brilliant man, and I can see why they're so afraid of him. And they are afraid of him. They know he can cut off their oil. And actually, the only thing power respects is power. And whenever you find a man who's in a position to show power against power, then that man is respected. But you can take a man who has power and love him all the rest of your life, and non-violently and forgivingly and all the rest of those off-time things, and you won't get anything out of it. So I also had a chance to speak to President Nyerere in Tanganyika, which is now Tanzania, and also Kenyatta, all of whom I know that all of you know him. He was the head of the Mau Mau, which really brought freedom to many of the African countries. This is true. The Mau Mau played a major role in bringing about freedom for Kenya, and not only for Kenya, but other African countries, because what the Mau Mau did frightened the white man so much in other countries until he said, well, I better get this thing straight before some of them pop up here. And this is good to study because you see what makes him react. And nothing lovingly makes him react. Nothing forgiving makes him react. The only time he reacts is when he knows you can hurt him. And when you let him know you can hurt him, he has to think 2 or 3 times before he tries to hurt you. But if you're not going to do nothing but return that hurt with love, why, good night. He knows you're out of your mind. And also, I had an opportunity to speak with President Azikwe in Nigeria, President Nkrumah in Ghana, and President Sekuture in Guinea. And in all of these people, I found nothing but warm friendship, sympathy, and a desire to help the black man in this country in fighting our problem. We have a very complex problem. I hope you forgive me for just speaking so informally tonight, but I frankly think it's always better to be informal. As far as I'm concerned, I can speak to people better in an informal way than I can with all of this stiff formality that ends up meaning nothing. Plus, when people are informal, they're relaxed. When they're relaxed, their mind is more open, and they can weigh things more objectively. And whenever you and I are discussing our problems, we need to be very objective, very cool, calm, collected. But that doesn't mean we should always be. There's a time to be cool and a time to be hot. And see, you got messed up into thinking that there's only one time for everything. There's a time to love and a time to hate. Even Solomon said that, and he was in that book too. You just taking something out of the book that fits your cowardly nature. And when you don't want to fight, you say, well, Jesus said don't fight. But I don't even believe Jesus said that. Also, I am very pleased to see so many who have come out to always see for yourself, where you can hear for yourself and then think for yourself. Then you'll be in a better position to make an intelligent judgment for yourself. But if you form the habit of listening to what others say about something or someone, or reading what someone else has written about someone, somebody can confuse you and misuse you. So as Afro-Americans or black people here in the Western Hemisphere, you and I have to learn to weigh things for ourselves. No matter what the man says, you better look into it. And a good example of why it's so important to look into things for yourself. I was on a plane between Algiers and Geneva, and it just happened that 2 other Americans were sitting in the 2 seats next to me. None of us knew each other, and the other 2 were white, one a male, the other a female. And after we had been flying along for about 40 minutes, the lady, she says, could I ask you a personal question? I said, yes. She said, well, she had been looking at my briefcase, and she said, well, what does that X? She says, what kind of last name could you have that begins with X? So I said, that's it, X. And she said, well, what does the M stand for? I said, Malcolm. So she was quiet for about 10 minutes. And she turned to me and she said, you're not Malcolm X. You see, we had been riding along in a nice conversation like 3 human beings, no hostility, no animosity, just human. And she couldn't take this. She said, well, you're not who I was looking for, And she ended up telling me that she was looking for horns and all that, and for someone who was out to kill all white people. As if all white people could be killed. This was her general attitude, and this attitude had been given her, this image had been given her by the press. So, before I get involved in anything nowadays, I have to straighten out my own position. And, which is clear, I am not a racist in any form whatsoever. I don't believe in any form of racism. I don't believe in any form of discrimination or segregation. I believe in Islam. I'm a Muslim. And there's nothing wrong with being a Muslim. Nothing wrong with the religion of Islam. That just teaches us to believe in Allah as the God. And those of you who are Christians probably believe in the same God. Because I think you believe in the God who created the universe. And that's the one we believe in, the one who created the universe. The only difference being, you call him God, and we call him Allah. Jews call him Jehovah. If you could understand Hebrew, you probably call him Jehovah too. If you can understand Arabic, you probably call him Allah. But since the white man, your friend, took your language away from you during slavery, the only language you know is his language, your friend's language. So you call for the same God he calls for. When he's putting a rope around your neck, you call for God, and he calls for God. And you wonder why the one you call on never answers you. So that once you realize that I believe in the Supreme Being who created the universe and believe in him as being one, I also have been taught in Islam that one God who only has one religion, and that religion is called Islam, and all of the prophets who came forth taught that religion. Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, all of them. And by believing in one God and one religion and all of the prophets, it creates unity. There's no room for argument, no need for us to be arguing with each other. And also in that religion, the real religion of Islam. When I was in the Black Muslim movement, they didn't have the real religion of Islam in that movement. It was something else. And but the real religion of Islam doesn't teach anyone to judge another human being by the color of his skin. The yardstick that is used by the Muslim to measure another man is not the man's color, but the man's deeds, the man's conscious behavior, the man's intentions. And when you use that as a standard of measurement or judgment, you never go wrong. But when you just judge a man because of the color of his skin, then you're committing a crime, because that's the worst kind of judgment. If you judge him just because he was a Jew, that's not as bad as judging him because he's black. Because a Jew can hide his religion. He can say he's something else, which a lot of them do that. They say they're something else. But the black man can't hide. When they start indicting us because of our color, that means we're indicted before we're born, which is the worst kind of crime that can be committed. And the Muslim religion has eliminated all tendencies to judge a man according to the color of his skin, but rather the judgment is based upon his deeds. And prior to going into the Muslim world, Elijah Muhammad had taught us that the white man could not enter into Mecca in Arabia, and all of us who followed him, we believed it. And he said the reason he couldn't enter was because he's white and inherently evil, and it's impossible to change him. And the only thing that would change him is Islam, and he can't accept Islam because by nature he's evil. And therefore, by not being able to accept Islam and become a Muslim, he could never enter Mecca. And this is how he taught us. And, and so when I got over there and went to Mecca and saw these people who blonde and blue-eyed and pale skin and all those things, I said, well, but I watched them closely, and I noticed that there was, though they were white, and they would call themselves white, there was a difference between them and the white one over here. And that basic difference was this. In Asia or the Arab world or in Africa, where the Muslims are, if you find one who says he's white, all he's doing is using an adjective to describe something that's incidental about him, one of his incidental characteristics. So there's nothing else to it, he's just white. But when you get the white man over here in America and he says he's white, he means something else. You can listen to the sound of his voice when he says he's white. He means he's boss. That's right. That's what white means in this language. You know the expression free, white, and 21. He made that up. He's letting you know all of them mean the same. White means free, boss. He's up there. So that when he says he's white, he has a little different sound in his voice. And I know you know what I'm talking about. This was what I saw was missing in the Muslim world. If they said they were white, it was incidental. White, black, brown, red, yellow, doesn't make any difference what color you are. And so this was the religion that I had accepted and had gone there to get a better knowledge of it. But despite the fact that I saw that Islam was a religion of brotherhood, I also had to face reality. And when I get back into this American society, I'm not in a society that practices brotherhood. I'm in a society that might preach it on Sunday, but they don't practice it on no day, on any day. And so since I can see that America itself is a society where there is no brotherhood, and that this society